because my nephew was not a target criminal. He was taken into jail for a minor offense, a little more, and he's no longer here with us. And that's just all I have to say. And I want to thank you all for that. Thank you very much.
I'm Anita. I'm Antonio's mom. I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting me for the loss of my son. It's been 6 months. I have no answers for what happened to my son, but those are the answers I'm looking for. I thank everyone.
My name is Marcus Christian. I'm Antonio's cousin. And again, we want to thank you all for coming out here, supporting us and our family. And we want to make it very clear, as far as Antonio is concerned, that he was not a criminal. He was actually arrested for mental issues. He had a long history of mental health illness. And so we want to definitely make sure that that's heard loud and clear, that he was someone that probably should have been apprehended and taken to a hospital for help, not brought here to the county jail to die. And we want to thank you all for keeping his name alive. As you know, coronavirus and other things have hit, it's made it hard for us to keep these folks alive. So this moment here, we really appreciate it. So thank you.
So if there's no other family members that would like to address the crowd today, then we will hear from the lawyer, Mark Marin, who's currently helping the family to engage in a federal lawsuit against the jail for what happened to Antonio. So let's give it up for Mark Marin.
Just sort of loosen my mask a bit here so I can be heard, because it's such a difficult problem communicating today with all the restrictions, social distancing, and limitations on our rights to actually get out and protest. This curfew is unheard of and ridiculous. It interferes with our ability to communicate, to organize, and to get the change we need. And one of the big changes we need is to get rid of this thing, the jails. Woo! One of the reasons that people end up in jail is because of the inequality in our society to start with, and they have to try to survive. And if they're not killed when they're apprehended, when they're taken into custody, as we know happens so frequently that it's tearing this country apart. If they're not killed there, and they don't die on the way to jail by asphyxiation or something else that's unexplained, then they have the risk of dying in jail. And that's exactly what happened to Antonio. As you heard from the family, he was not a criminal. He was mentally ill and needed assistance. Instead, what happened is he got put into a cell with a known violent criminal killer who killed him. And what happened when he was being assaulted? Nothing. You think the jail doesn't know what's happening? If they didn't put them together intentionally, they certainly should have intervened when they knew what was going on. Then they took so long to even give him any assistance after he was removed from the cell. Allowed him to die right there on TV. This is absolutely unacceptable. And the only way we're going to change things is if you people, together with your friends, your family, the people whom you relate to, take matters into their own hands and change this system from the top to the bottom. And I hope that this little case that we're bringing on behalf of one person can add to the fuel that will change this system. Thank you.
Mario is my brother. He's missed. Just wish he was here.
Speak it up a little louder, a little louder.
Antonio's little sister, Nini, just wish he was here. He's missed daily, every day. It's hard, especially going to my mom's house.
So immediately after this murder took place, there were demands put forth by initially the Liberation Collective, and so we're going to hear those demands, and it's those demands that we gather here today as the community to support. So I want to introduce Sonia on behalf of the Liberation Collective.
So we stand here today with the Thomas family, as we do with several other families who have lost loved ones at the hands of state-sanctioned violence. State-sanctioned violence is a thing in this country that has to end. We pay taxes, she pays taxes, her children pay taxes, her brothers, her cousins pay taxes, and taxation without representation is not okay. Let me say that again. Taxation without representation is not okay. Literally, that means that we pay into a system and we are not protected. So the Liberation Collective for Black Sacramento, which I'm one of the founders of, and I'm also a member of Decarcerate Sacramento, we came up with a list of demands because every time this happens, we want to continue to echo that this department, the Sacramento Sheriff's Department and the County of Sacramento, fails its community members when incidences like this occur. And so the Thomas family is waiting for key and crucial information that is being withheld at the county level. And we've asked for the following things. We demand immediate relief from and accountability for current systems of white supremacy, cis-hetero patriarchy, and racial capitalism. We are now in a position to see the sun beyond the storm. We are working to solidify peaceful and respectful values. We are asking for all reports associated with Antonio Thomas's death. All reports. We are asking for accountability via the names of the officers who were working that day be released to the family. We are asking for change in policy as they go about the daily, day-to-day routines in these facilities so that people who are suffering from mental health illnesses actually get services rather than jail cells.
Yes.
As a member of Decarcerate Sacramento, I just want to continue to echo, Sacramento is not the only city, it is not the only county that is asking for the defunding of law enforcement. Los Angeles County just was announced $150 million defunded from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. If they can do it in LA, we can do it here in Sacramento. Those funds need to actually go to community resources, community programs that will help our community members that are suffering at the hands of one state-sanctioned violence, but also the economic gap that takes place in so many communities, Black, brown, socially, economically disenfranchised communities. We need to be able to offer solutions. Those solutions for unhoused individuals is not to put them in a jail cell. Those solutions for individuals who are suffering from mental health issues are not to put them in a jail cell. Those solutions for individuals who are suffering with addiction problems, which is often mental health related, is not to put them in a jail cell. So those are our demands, and we thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Brother Carter on behalf of the Poor People's Campaign in Sacramento.
Good morning, people of color, my sisters and brothers. I'm Brother Carter with the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival. And first, I want to give my support and love to the Thomas family. Since this incident has happened, I've been with the family in close support, and even during the time when Antonio was in the medical center. I only lived across the street from the hospital, so I would go over daily and spend time with Antonio through faith and belief in healing, and the possibility that Antonio would wake up one day and could be a moral witness and give testimony to his cause of what happened to him here in this county jail. So even though that wasn't possible, but the prayer was, and the prayer was needed. And what prayer also did was to bring you in support, to be a voice for Antonio. That's what we need from each and every one of you today, to be the voice for the voiceless, Even when we look at our brother who was killed in Minneapolis, when we look at George Floyd, we have to be the breath for George Floyd. We have to be the breath today for Antonio Thomas. It's important that we, the people today, revolt this system that we have. And that is what I'm seeing all across the nation. The revolt of a system that is not working for us. It's only killing us. It's only taking our lives. We have to understand, everybody has a right to live because everybody's life matters. And we must be the ones to voice out, to speak up, to speak out, to stand up and stand out so that we show this system that we no longer want it. We want change. We want true change. Most of all, we want justice. We want justice for Antonio, for everything that happened inside of this jail, for the justice that will be given for Antonio will be given for the rest of the prisoners that are in here today. It's up to us to stand up and do this and not leave until it's done. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming out and giving your time and your support.
Next up, we're going to hear from Allegra Taylor on behalf of the Village Advocates, and they've been active in advocating around the city of Sacramento on behalf of various communities. And so we want to give it up for Allegra.
Well, actually, I'm here wearing two hats. I'm also a Sacramento Act representative, and the village was birthed out of Sacramento Act. I'm here to stand in solidarity with this mother, because we know that the system that's in place is not a broke system. It is a system that is designed to do exactly what it's doing. We don't want to talk about this being a broken system. We want to talk about the system being demolished and redone, period. There's nothing more worse than a mother to sit and wonder what happened. What happened to my child? I know that pain. I don't know that pain as a mother, but I got a grandmother that's still wondering what happened. The system should not be in place to where it takes so long to give us answers, especially in today's technology. But we understand what's going on. This is inequality, especially for black people. You know why? We are struggling at every step. Education, criminal justice, economics, health. This is a design plan, and we know what it is. So we as a people, we have to start voicing our opinions. We have to stand when somebody loses somebody, we have to stand with them. Her voice alone is not enough, but when we stand with her, it takes a village. And together we are that village. We're the village for her. We're the village for the family. We're the village for those who are not getting the answers that they need because of the design system. It's a design system. Enough is enough. In such a time as this, as all this raising up that we're doing, we need to raise up on every aspect that we have been treated differently. And that's why we're here today. We're here to stand with this mother. We're here to stand with this mother. If she hurt, we should hurt. If she crying, we should be crying. If she want to fight, we should fight with her. And when she can't fight no more, we should fight for her. Solidarity! Solidarity! Solidarity for Antonio Thompson! Solidarity for Antonio! We want answers for Antonio Thomas. We want answers. We want answers for this mom. We want answers for this sister. We want answers for this cousin. We want answers for the city of Sacramento. We want to know why. We want to know how. We want to know why. Why wasn't he given the help that he needed? Why? Why wasn't he given the help that he needed? Because they don't care. And we already know that. And their time is up. So stay focused, people. This fight is not over yet. And we have to continue to fight until she gets the answers. Until all the rest of the mothers get the answers. until all of our people who have been locked down too long are let out, until this system is changed, broken, tore down. We need answers in the city of Sacramento. We need answers from Ms. Thomas.
One more thing. Yesterday, as an organizer, I received a phone call from the supervisor over at the public defender's office. He said that he had gotten a phone call from the head judge here at this facility for Sac County. They were concerned that if we were out here this morning, that it would disrupt business as usual in this facility. And we have to continue to echo and plead our case with systems that are in place that are afraid of us and also afraid of the truth being told. There's no way that they should be closing this system to people who have pending cases and have to then prolong that experience, which is already traumatic, going through court systems. They shouldn't be closing doors to family members who have loved ones in this facility to be able to put money on their books, take care of their business here at this facility. So it's insulting that the system would even ask organizers about a family who is grieving with a legitimate death that happened on their hands and potentially close the public from this facility. We do realize that we are in COVID. We do realize that there is a lot of community and national uprising because of the death of George Floyd, right? We realize that there's been some beautiful graffiti that has been put on this building over the past week. We realize that the rage of the people is an expression that needs to be heard and heard and heard until someone's willing to listen and act on it. And so we want to not just stand with the Thomas family, we want to make sure that every family around this nation, especially here in Sacramento City and County, that they don't deny us access to what happens here at this facility. Because what happened to Antonio happened here at this facility.
I just want to say one more thing. My nephew was not accidentally killed here. My nephew had been here several occasions for being picked up for mentalness, and they used to take him to the mental floor. But the last time, his last visit, so they had his records. They knew about his mentalness. But his last visit, they picked him up. They put him in a cell, not on the mental floor. They put him in the cell with a guy that was already down here for murder. I want that to be known, and it's a known fact. So he did not accidentally get killed. They literally killed him here, purposely. That's exactly what happened. And that's not gossip. Thank you.
And so, it should also be...
And my son was the 10th inmate to be killed in this jail within 12 months. That's an inmate a month. I want answers on what happened to my son.
And all the rest of the men. But yes, those family needs answers too.
12 months, there's 10 inmates that was killed in this jail. And he was the 10th inmate. And he had records of police brutality that took place with him every time he came to this jail. He was an advocate within his cell. I have plenty of paperwork that Antonio had. He was no stranger to this place. He was no stranger to them. And I'm no stranger to him, because every time he came here, I was here to visit him. And they know his classification. So for them to put him in a cell with someone with such a heinous crime, they murdered my son. And I want answers. What happened to my son here at the Sacramento County Jail? Like I said, he was the 10th inmate within 12 months. That's an inmate a month that's been murdered in his jailhouse.
And so, we can see that even before this COVID pandemic, prisoners inside this jail were already facing a crisis. Right? Every single day that someone is inside of this jail is a crisis. Right? So we want to stand with everybody that's been affected by this inhumane institution. And so additionally, I want to note, this crowd is one example of the fact that at the end of the day, if we're going to get change, we have to come out and we have to do something that's different, right? We have to stand together and we have to stand in solidarity. So over the past week, Sacramento stood up along with the rest of the country in solidarity with George Floyd. And as a testament to people power, I want to bring to the stage or bring to this platform one of the protesters who was active this last week. So I want y'all to give it up for Keon.
So I've been out here since Friday night watching and marching with folks rightfully demanding justice for not just George Floyd, but also Antonio Thomas, also for Daryl Richards, also for Stephon Clark, also for Joseph Mann, and so many others here in Sacramento County who have been murdered by Sacramento County Sheriff's Department and Sacramento Police Department. What I witnessed this weekend wasn't something that was organized. There were no leaders of the revolution, no self-appointed leaders of the revolution that were taking hold of this. This was organic.
Yes.
This was people rightfully and justifiably outraged at a system of government that continues to murder us, particularly black and brown folks, with impunity. We live in a nation that was founded on the basis of property and profit first, and added human rights as an afterthought. And even after so many changes, 27 amendments to the Constitution, black and brown folks are still fighting for basic recognition of their humanity. And that lack of recognition is still evident from the response of Sacramento sheriffs and Sacramento PD and California Highway Patrol this weekend to peaceful protests. When people were gathered outside of the Capitol, there was no violence. People were not destroying property or looting. They were marching and standing and holding space peacefully until the police exercised violence against us, trying to grab people from the crowd, hitting us over the head, just trying to defend ourselves. Every single action that we have seen in this country that has devolved into what they call riot has always been precipitated by police violence. Sacramento is no exception. And I want to be clear, destruction of property is not violence. There is no comparison between destroying a storefront or looting from a building than there is in getting shot in the face with rubber bullets, than there is in choking on chemical agents intentionally designed to make it harder for you to breathe. There is no comparison with having 6 or more police officers jump on top of you with their knee on your neck, or kicking you or punching you as they are arresting you. There is no comparison. Now here we are under curfew from 8 to 5 p.m. here in Sacramento County, and the National Guard deployed to protect what? The people? No, it's to protect property, because that has always been the focus of our local, state, and federal government leaders. And this curfew, just like so many others in Los Angeles, in Minneapolis, in New York City, and in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, is not and will not work. Because the problem isn't people, outside agitators coming in. The people that have been arrested this weekend are predominantly Sacramento residents, innocent people. The problem that city and county leaders are facing is a lack of legitimacy in their authority, because it ends where their police officers' bullets and guns are pointed. And we, the people, no longer recognize that authority as legitimate, appropriate, or acceptable. That's why we're out here. That's why we're going to continue to show up out here. We're not going away. This problem isn't going away. So if city and county officials really want to de-escalate these tensions, really want us to get off the streets, here's the first and foremost thought. Listen to the people as they talk to you. It isn't hard. There are organizers like myself, like the folks that are here, that have been demanding systemic changes and transformation for years and have been ignored, dismissed, or outright laughed at by city officials here in Sacramento and county board of supervisors and executives. The first and foremost thing that Sacramento City and County can do is defund the police. It is absurd that in the middle of a public health crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic, during a mental health crisis, as mayors Darrell Steinberg and other county officials have mentioned in the past, that we are spending as much as 40% of our budget, a third of Sacramento County's general funds, on the Sacramento Sheriff's Department. It's disgusting that they can get $500 million in the 2018-2019 budget and then get a $40 million raise in the 2020 budget. It's absurd that here we are in this demolishing this stupid jail, this monument to oppression that exists, that is cost 10 people their lives and so much more suffering from hundreds, if not thousands of people, that they're seeking not only to build upon it, but to expand it, to continue expanding this jail. We were able to stop it once, but now they're trying to do it again. Sacramento City and County officials aren't listening to us. So what do we have to do to be heard? We have to stand out here in these streets. We have to get out here together, thousands upon thousands, to demand that they listen to us, because they're not going to listen to us any other way. If they care more about property and profit and economies than they do about human life and well-being, then guess what? Your property is forfeit, because it's ours in the end. It'll get rebuilt. Buildings will get rebuilt. Buildings are insured. People are not. And we can't replace life, so we're going to be out here fighting for it until they do. Thank you.
I just echo one thing, just what Keon said, because it's important. Through the Poor People's Campaign, what Keon said about all this, where this money is going, to all of these entities, right now, there's over 11,000 people throughout this region, around Sacramento, that are unhoused, that cannot get food. I do basic needs every day to take food and water out to them, and we're running short. And we've been asking the county and the city for more money to get to these folks that are in dire straits right now. And that's not happening. So that's why it is important for what Brother Keon said, that we have outrage about. Yesterday was 103 degrees. They did not want to open up no warm and no cooling centers. That's why we had an emergency yesterday to take water out to all of these places, tons of water, and have people donate food to get to them, because they don't want to do it. They don't see it as an emergency, and we have to see that that is very immoral, because if they're not taking care of them, they're not going to take care of us. I just want to say that. Thank you.
And so, in line with that, we don't see police terror as something that can just be solved with the passage of a new law, with the firing of an officer, it's really something where we as a community have to come together and start to provide those solutions for our communities, because at the end of the day, the system is not concerned with the well-being of our communities. So next, I'd like to invite up Adam on behalf of Anti-Police Terror Project. They're doing a lot of work in the community. Let's give it up.
I'm Adam. I got a big face. So I'm Adam Jordan, leadership in the Anti-Police Terror Project. There's quite a few of my comrades that are also in the Anti-Police Terror Project that are standing with us. We believe in just basically deconstructing the entire system to be rebuilt back in the, just like, and I hate to quote a slave owner, but Thomas Jefferson said every 20 years the government should be completely deconstructed and reconstructed in the image of the people, right? We have to deconstruct this thing to reconstruct this in the image of the people that are the most at risk, because I'm gonna get into statistics, and I don't mean to info dump on you. 12,000 calls. It went from 10,000 to 12,000 non-criminal mental health calls a year in Sacramento County alone. 12,000 calls a year, and when you look at it, out of the unarmed murders that happen everywhere in America, 80% of those people are having a mental health episode. When you do not have enough mental health beds, when you do not have enough mental health facilities, when the police are the only people you call for people who are having a mental health episode, the abuse and the murder of people who are having mental health episodes is commonplace. The designation of mental health people in the general population is because they don't have enough mental health beds. And first off, county jails shouldn't even have mental health beds.
That's right.
Yep.
Right.
Because working with Decarcerate, because I'm in Decarcerate, APTP and Decarcerate are both, excuse me, I'm gonna start talking because I'm starting to spit. APTP and Decarcerate are both not just organizations, but coalitions of organizations that work together to stop police terrorism and to defund the police and to defund these county jails and to put money into the institutions that actually help people. Counselors, mentors, therapists, psychologists, right? And I'm gonna plug APTP real quick because we know from 10 years, I come from the Oscar Grant movement. 10 years ago, we know these police come out here and murder us. Handcuffed Oscar Grant was handcuffed face down. Yes. Handcuffed face down on a platform. I know his whole family. Shot twice in the back, and what the cops say? I reached it for my taser. Right? They don't care about us. The mental health of us is not cared for, right? Defunding these jails to increase mental health beds is what needs to happen, right? I got to give props to Minneapolis because they talked about, and I love to hear it here, they talked about unincorporating the police, dismantling the police, and they start using our language on community-based intervention. That blows my mind because I ain't never heard a municipality talk like I do because I'm a black revolutionary, and I've always talked about dismantling these pigs because I know from personal experience, they beat my ass before they asked my name. Right? I tell a story all the time, and I usually try to stay away from these I statements. I was a bike messenger. I went to the federal building. I'm in the elevator with FBI and Secret Service, and this little old white lady put a purse on the other side. You think I'm finna rob you in the federal building with FBI agents in the elevator? They ain't even got enough sense to be cool. A black FBI agent looked down at me and saw it. He shook his head. Sorry about that, bruh. I mean, I was just sitting there with a big ass walkie-talkie and a bike messenger bag. Do I look that much like a thug? I guess I do to little old white ladies in purses, right? I don't mean to be talking bad about white people, and I digress. We started a thing called Mental Health First. We got a bunch of mental health professionals. We are a full response team. We haven't been able to respond during COVID, but we started 6 months ago. We found out the least amount of services is from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We do mental health trainings. We do medical trainings. We do first responder trainings. We're trying to build the community so we don't have to call these pigs for our families.
right? We could call community members like me, like him. Well, we'll train these families right here so they know to call us. You know, we don't need to call these pigs. And look, and we usually talk about never get funded. Fuck this shit. We ain't never gonna have no influence. We need funding. I want funding. You know why? I want 24 hours. I want multiple vans. I want 7 days a week. Right? I mean, look, I always talk to them, but now I'm 50 years old and realize money talks, bullshit walk. Being that independent fund myself, I'm only a chef. I only can fund so much. But we need millions of dollars, and we need the millions of dollars to go into this place. This place is killing people. There is no rehabilitation. There is no therapy. The medical people here are contracted by UC Davis, and they are so worked. They came out and was like, man, we wish we could join you, but they fire our ass. They believe what they doing is not enough. They know what they doing is inadequate. They know people are in there sick. Then they've lied. Let's talk about this COVID. They've lied about 2 cases that have been in here. Yep. You know why they lied? Because they don't want to be susceptible to lawsuits, and they don't want to be susceptible to blame, and they don't want to have any responsibility, accountability, responsibility. They don't want either one. They don't want accountability, they don't want responsibility, and they lie about the conditions of this place simply because they care nothing. And I'm not just black people, poor people, they don't give a fuck. Excuse my friend. Poor, mentally ill, people of color, period. White, and let me mention this COVID thing, because I thank every one of you for coming out. I don't see nobody without a mask, right? Well, we got a mask for you too. My bad. I didn't mean to point you out. But you wave. But my thing is, COVID in of itself, like, it's like the 13th Amendment. Yeah, they freed us, but they don't give a fuck enough to make sure that once you got convicted, like the 13th Amendment said, everybody free, no more slaves, except for the people who are doing time. That's legal slavery. Like, if you don't get a job in prison and work for the state, you get put in the hole, right? And with COVID, they opening up back these businesses and putting at-risk low-wage workers to serve these affluent fools that don't give a fuck about the low-wage worker, right? So they're talking about opening these businesses back up because to rich people, capitalism is more important than human life, right? It's just like back in the steel mills and when the unionists, because my socialists know, the unionism and the starting of unions was a bloody campaign because these rich people wanted workers working 7 days a week, 12 and 16 hours a day, and they had to fight and die just to get 5 days a week, right? And people right here, right now, are saying we are dying. Us black people especially have a 60 to 75% death rate from COVID, but they want to open up the sushi place. Look, I love restaurants. I'm a chef. I cook, but I'm not going to take my business and risk your life. Right? I'm not going to take my business and risk anybody's life. I'm not opening back up. I might go get some to-go Chinese food. I admit that. Right? But look, I talk a lot, and I'm going to wrap it up real quick. But all I got to say, come, and I don't mean to plug my organization, but I will simply say, come get some training to be able to help your community.
Get organized.
Organize.
Get organized.
I'm not asking you to join my organization, although, look, I ain't turning nobody down. But I'm talking about get with somebody. Don't try and build a car all by yourself. You don't know how to build a car. We got vehicles of liberation around you. There's multiple organizations standing around you. There's multiple niches to join. Poor People's Campaign, PSL, APT, look, TLC, all type of the village. You feel me? If what you believe in and what you want to advocate for is in front of you, join something. Get training to help other people. And also, when this flashpoint is done, come back out. Because I've been in a bunch of flashpoints. Oscar Grant, Occupy Oakland. We think we changed the world, and the world changes back. We can't let it change and let it change back. These have to be paradigm shifts.
Yeah.
Right? These can't be, pendulum shift. What happens? Swings right back. We can't let that happen no more. Too many of us die out here. I got too many of my friends that are dead. I've met too many families. I've met too many families like this right here. I want to see this as a cessation where we get together and talk about the bad old day at the barbecue.
That's right.
And so I do want to remind everybody, if you're interested in getting involved with APTP, you can go on June 18th. There's a virtual general meeting. Attend that meeting. It's on Facebook. If you look up APTP SAC, you can find that general meeting. Attend that meeting and plug into some work that we're doing. Okay? So before we close out, we're going to hear from another community organization, Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL. Let's give it up for Steven.
My name's Steve. I'm an organizer with Party for Socialism and Liberation here in Sacramento. I'm part of TLC Sacramento to stand in solidarity with the Thomas family to demand justice for Antonio Thomas. Antonio should be alive and here with us. Instead, the family and the community are still left wondering what happened to him inside the Sacramento County Jail that led to him being found unresponsive and ultimately needing to be taken off of life support in the hospital. I and so many others in the community are left thinking, am I next? Could I get swept up, thrown in jail, and the next thing you know, they're telling my family, we don't know what happened, but now he's unresponsive. Here, you have him back now. No, we're sick and tired of folks being treated this way, especially black and brown people in this country. That's why we're seeing this collective mass uprising that we're witnessing, not just here in Sacramento, but all around the country, in places like Oakland and Portland, Seattle, Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, all 50 states now, even spreading internationally across the globe. Places like South Korea, Germany, the UK, pretty much anywhere you look, people are expressing outrage at being treated less than human by law enforcement. And what happened to Antonio was preventable in so many ways. First of all, probation itself. It's a system that forces you to pay for your own freedom. You have to pay for all of the fees associated with the cost of your probation. I don't know if folks are aware of that. I'm guessing that folks who are already on probation are already having a tough enough time just making ends meet as it is right now. But then to burden them with debt when they're already indigent is completely beyond the pale. So to pick somebody up for violation of probation and basically setting them up for failure and then immediately punishing them for a problem that was completely manufactured to begin with. Over 60% of Americans can't afford a sudden $400 expense of any sort. So let me tell you that this is a system that's designed to promote mass incarceration. And as you all know the statistics very well, I'm sure, about the racial disparities of those being locked up, we know it's because of the over-policing of the communities of color. And at the end of the day, the police are not here to protect and serve us, as you've heard from the other speakers, the average person. No, no, no. They're here to serve and promote the interests of concentrated capital in this country who are hell-bent on accumulating the more and more obscene amounts of wealth by any means necessary. When he was put in the jail, that didn't need to be a death sentence for him. We didn't know the full story of what happened, but it is 100% the responsibility of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department to find out what happened, because he was in their custody and they had a responsibility to keep him safe. but it's clear that they don't value black lives because they failed in that basic responsibility. And I'll just wrap it up here, but this is why we're gathered here, to say justice for all victims of police terror. And capitalism and racism are inextricably linked through the legacies of colonialism and imperialism. We're here to call that out and demand justice for Antonio.
Justice for Antonio!
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 Justice for